The Jews were acting out of jealousy. His wife had even warned him, or she had been warned by a dream that God had given her. She tries to tell him that Jesus wasn't worthy of this death, but he rejected the voice of conscience, of reason, of revelation, and he listened to the voice of the crowd. Sound like politicians today, right? Sort of. He tried his best to not decide. He tried to have it both ways. He said, I'm going to give them to you, but his blood is on your hands. So when it comes to making a decision about Jesus, it's impossible for you to not decide. To remain neutral is a vote against him. Luke 11:23, anyone who isn't with me opposes me. Anyone who isn't working with me is actually working against me. The people that reject Christ to this day, they do so in opposition to their conscience. A conscience that is telling them that the word is true. They reject reason because when evidence is really laid out and honestly looked at, the most reasonable conclusion you can come to is that it's all true. So they reject the revelation of the word because they don't like so much of what the word says about them or their lifestyle. Like the reason an atheist can't find God is the exact same reason why a criminal can't find a cop. They don't want to, right? They don't want anybody messing with them. So they don't have an intellectual problem. They end up having a heart problem. It's a moral issue. They wouldn't mind God's existence so much if it didn't mean that they're answerable to him. So to reject Christ, you have to do what Pontius Pilate did. You have to drown out all the voices of conscience, of reason, of revelation. And then it's cowardly compromise at that point. So same principle applies to those of us that are saved, but not really living a Christian life. Same principle applies. We need believers who make a decision to follow Christ with all their heart. We have sung for years, though none go with me, still I will follow. To not decide is to decide against. So Pilate compromised in order to save his job. He was worried if there was an uprising by the Jews, then his job was at stake. And secular history records that Pilate took his own life not long after the crucifixion. He traded royal robes for grave clothes. God knows where he is today. I don't. We can speculate, but Jesus said, what do you benefit if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? So, second question I have, what is the difference in struggling with sin and being comfortable with it? In your words, what do you think? Somebody give me an answer. Yes. Yes. No conviction versus conviction. Absolutely. All right, number 4. Fourth thing that the world sees that killed Jesus, thoughtless conformity. Now, this is on the part of the crowd, because we talked about it, the Passover, during the procession, they're all the same people that were cheering, Hosanna, 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 later on would cheer, crucify him. So every year at Passover, a criminal would be set free as a demonstration of mercy by the Roman government. And I can get really deep on Barabbas. I'm not going to do it tonight, but Pilate schemes. He knows Jesus is innocent, so he picks Barabbas, who was a very notorious criminal, murderer, zealot of that day. And he thought, man, there's no way they're going to pick Barabbas over Jesus. In spite of that, in spite that Jesus had done nothing but good, the crowd demanded that Barabbas, the murderer, go free. Because mob mentality. The leaders had stirred their emotions to a frenzy. They were chanting, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him, and they all jumped on the bandwagon of popular opinion. And being that many people in the moment, they thought, well, they can't be wrong. But when it comes to spiritual matters, the worldly crowd is always wrong. Exodus 23:2, you must not follow the crowd in doing wrong. Matthew 7:13 talks about entering by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the way is easy, it leads to destruction. Don't follow the crowd. He's trying to tell you it's going to lead you to hell. Next question, why is it so easy to go along with the crowd spiritually? Spiritually now, why is it so easy to go along with the crowd? It happens more than you think. Yes, sir. Everybody else is shouting. Everybody else is, yep, we don't study for ourselves. Like the biggest cult in America, believe it or not, it's not the Mormons, Jehovah's Witness. I mean, they're large, or any other wacko groups, but the biggest cult in America is the cult of conformity. Which says just go with the flow. It's crept into the church. The church has been doing it for years. Our society has been doing it for years. This is the crowd that says following Jesus is boring. The crowd's wrong. It's an adventurous discipleship if you're really doing it. So Jesus said, I came to give you life and life abundant. Best life you can live on earth is through him. So the same crowd today says things like hell isn't real. And if it were, no loving God would send you there. The crowd's wrong. There is a heaven to gain and a hell that we need to shun. God's made a way for us to avoid hell. He's not sending any of us. We make that choice. He made a way for us to avoid it because he loves us. Fifth thing the world sees, attitude, cruelty. Hard-hearted cruelty killed Jesus. So said the attitudes that crucify and the attitudes that glorify is what we're talking about. If you think about it, the soldiers that crucified him mocked him cruelly. They put an inscription on top of the cross to mock him. Then the robe was meant to mock him, the crown, the scepter they gave him. They beat his face unrecognizable before they whipped his back and crucified him. And he didn't resist. Now, the same Jesus that walked on water could have resisted and overcome, but he sacrificed himself like a sheep. In the garden, when they come to arrest him, who's the one that calls himself Jesus of Nazareth? He simply says the words, I am. And at those words, all those men fell backwards in the power of his word.